We are now exactly 2 weeks away from the first Democratic presidential debates on this very network, and we're continuing our series, The Road to Miami. Steve Kornacki making his way along the bustling and vital I-95 corridor, telling us everything we need to know about the key states along the way. Last night, if you were watching, then you know, Steve visited the great state of New Jersey. Tonight, he has crossed the mighty Delaware River. He has arrived in the Keystone State, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He is at the big board tonight. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Brian, and we almost made a big mistake today. We were driving down the New Jersey Turnpike, heading straight to the Delaware Memorial Bridge, and then my navigator told me, by the way, the New Jersey Turnpike and I-95, they split off. You want to stay on 95? You got to cross the Delaware. You got to go into Pennsylvania. So we did. We are committed to staying on I-95, even though it added time to this trip. And yet it was a good decision because look where we ended up. We are here in Philadelphia, the Palestra. This is one of the most famous sporting venues in all of America. This building is almost 100 years old. You know, famous arenas, they're usually known for being the home of one team. The Palestra, it is the home to the Big Five, the Temple Owls, the Penn Quakers, the LaSalle Explorers, the Villanova Wildcats, the St. Joseph's Hawks. They have all claimed this arena as their home at some point. They still play each other here. When you get one of those matchups, it's an amazing thing to see, and it's also the home of a particularly amazing tradition. My favorite in all of sports, it involves the St. Joseph's Hawks, and it involves the St. Joseph's Hawks. Now, look what he's doing here. Oh, yeah. He is flapping his wings. They're in the warm-ups right here. Here's the rule. Here's the tradition at St. Joe's. The St. Joseph's, I think they want to be called. That hawk, that's a student. He's on scholarship. He's considered a member of the team. He must flap his wings from the minute the team takes the court, through the warm-ups, through the game, through every whistle, every timeout, even halftime, can only stop when the buzzer sounds and the game ends. It's estimated the hawk does 3,500 nonstop flaps for the game. Really earns that scholarship. And, of course, the slogan, the motto of St. Joe's is the hawk will never die. And for 63 basketball seasons, the Hawk has not stopped doing that. So that's the sports tradition in Philadelphia. What about the political tradition in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania? Well, we're talking about the significance for 2020. You all know the big story here. Pennsylvania, election night 2016, by a margin of 44,000 votes. Donald Trump won this state. Didn't just win this state. This is one of those states that he flipped. They were talking about the blue wall, Democrats were, heading into election 2016. States like Pennsylvania, Michigan as well, Wisconsin, were going all the way back to the 90s, even into the 80s. Democrats had been winning. In Pennsylvania, you had to go back to 88 to find the last Republican victory, Bush Sr., but then Trump pulled it off by a fraction of a point in 2016. You know it. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Can Trump do in 2020 what he did in 2016? It's a big question that hovers over this entire election. Where does he stand right now in Pennsylvania? Here's the most recent head-to-head polling. It's from a couple weeks ago. Quinnipiac, and you see Joe Biden 11 points ahead of Trump. Remember, Biden always playing up Scranton, always playing up his Pennsylvania roots, his campaign headquarters in Philadelphia. So Biden doing the best, but all these other Democrats also leading Trump in Pennsylvania at this early point. As well, Trump's approval rating in the state, 42-54. Not a number normally you'd look at and say is good for an incumbent to be at. The one thing to remember, we can show you those head-to-head numbers. We can show you that poor approval rating. I have to show you this as well. Election Day 2016 in Pennsylvania, the favorable, unfavorable rating for Donald Trump was 42-56. You didn't want to have that number either. His opponent was pretty unpopular, too, by Election Day. It was just enough to allow him to win the state. So can he win? That was the favorable, unfavorable. Job approval, is that different to voters? Is that more significant? Will that keep him from putting together that scenario that he did in 2016? Could be the big question in Pennsylvania, in other states, and the entire election.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.